Next time we
Like to call this, call meeting Board of Trustees to order. Ms. Wilson, we have confirmation of the media.
Yes, sir.
Have a forum and perfect attendance. Request for approval of the agenda. So moved. Second.
Second.
Please. All in favor? Show of hands. I'd like to welcome everybody here today. Thank everybody for the informative workshop that we just completed. Hope that the year gets off to a seamless start. Looking forward to our next year. We'll ride safely to leave. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Dr. Thomas. Back to you again.
Yes, Chairman, Board, trustees, as we've been talking through the board work session, just looking at the different learning options for fall 2020, knowing that this is a very fluid situation and process, we talked about the different community spread options with the low, medium, and high, indicated by the green, yellow, and red. So with that, we're looking at the different learning options based on the data that we received from the health officials regarding the status. And so those recommendations are looking at our traditional face-to-face 5 days a week, which is our ultimate goal. That's what we all definitely want to be. But it is my priority that we go to that model when it is safe to do so for the staff and the students. So that's our ultimate goal, but our priority is on the safety and wellness, well-being of our staff and students. The other model being the hybrid, which would be an option if we're in the medium community spread, then that's when the students would attend the hybrid model, which would be 2 days a week, face-to-face instruction. And then they would have the midday week, which would be able to bring all of the students together for a virtual e-learning setting. And then there will be 2 days of the e-learning. But also e-learning as an option. If there's an event like we had in the spring, if the governor was to issue a closure and had to close for some reason, we would transition to the e-learning option. And so this would be where the lessons are live streamed. All of the students would be on e-learning. So the teacher would be at the school and live stream all of those lessons for the students based on that option. Then, of course, we have our virtual academy that we've been extended the deadline for to this Friday for those students that may not feel comfortable, parents may not feel comfortable with those students returning to face-to-face at this time based on the current data that we have from our officials. So we've looked at this in different phases: the green phase, the yellow phase, and the red phase. So the green phase, again, is our goal. That's where we would like to be. But we are definitely following the data, and we'll use that to drive the decision. Hopefully we'll be able to receive that information on Fridays so that we can communicate the option to the families so that they are able to prepare based on what those current conditions state. So in the green phase, again, we're all face-to-face 5 days a week. We are still looking at the different guidelines and precautions as much as possible, but ultimately that is our goal, to have school traditionally 5 days a week. whenever it is safe to do so. Our yellow phase will be our hybrid model, and this is where we will have 50% of our students in attendance daily. And so we will have two teams. We'll have the green team and the gold team. The green team would attend on Monday and Tuesday. The gold team would attend on Thursday and Friday. The teachers, if you will teach a virtual class for the entire class on that Wednesday, it will also allow for cleaning, deep cleaning, but the teachers will be on site. Our red phase would be when all students are e-learning. There are no activities, and so the teachers and essential staff will report to the school each day for the e-learning instruction. With our attendance groups, we're looking at the green team. We're looking at only by the first letter of the last name. So for the green team, there will be students with last name A through K. For the gold team, first letter of the last name L through Z. And we will definitely make sure that those families from the same household will attend on the same days in the event that we have to utilize the hybrid option. As far as some of the guidance and protocols, we are looking at temperature checks to take place as well for our students, as well as there is implementation as far as the staff is concerned. They would wear masks or a face shield if they are not able to wear a mask each day when they're students. Any questions?
I'd like to make a motion that we provide the parents of the community two options, one being virtual academy and one being the traditional face-to-face 5 days a week. And that, with that being said, that based on the start date of school, if it is not conducive with the virus numbers, that we take into consideration that we may have to adopt a hybrid or e-learning, but that we would pass the motion as it being the traditional face-to-face 5 days a week and a virtual academy.
Have a second.
I want a second of the discussion.
Oh, yeah, we're gonna have discussion.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was second first.
Oh, I second it.
All right, any discussion?
Is there a particular order that
I'm
this
just
would go
saying
in,
that-
or would that be
I'm
just
just
those
saying
two?
that well, those would be our two options to provide for the parents, but then if on the start of our start date, if our numbers through DHEC or CDC are still too high for it to be face-to-face, then we would go by the color codes provided, that she's provided here.
So, with virtual,
That
okay,
it may not allow for us to go into a face-to-face right off the bat.
So the way I understand what you're saying is we prefer face-to-face 5 days a week.
Right.
But if the conditions are prevailing or to where the learning options that she has presented would come into play, I guess is the right word.
Right. Like if we are still listed as a medium, then we would have to start off as a hybrid instead of face-to-face, but that we're passing our two options as either a virtual academy or a 5 day a week face-to-face is what we're gonna put out as our two options to the parents. Because we don't know what August 24th, or we haven't even discussed the calendar yet, September the 8th. We don't know what what our rating's gonna be. It may be low, and it may be that we're able to do face-to-face. So if we go ahead and
That's what we hope.
provide, say that's our option now, that we're gonna do face-to-face 5 days a week or virtual academy. They have those too, but if Lawrence County is listed at medium, then we would have to start in at the hybrid, or we would have to start in, if we're still listed at high, we'd have to start in at the e-learning.
But that is the
Is
intent.
that,
That's the intent of the plan, is that it's based on the data to determine. If everything's low, then we'll start in the green traditional face-to-face.
We
However,
just don't have those.
if things are high, then I'd be the red, e-learning. So that is why it's broken down into the different community spread levels. So that we have the option based on the data to be fluid and to move through the different options as necessary based on the data.
Right, and that could even happen after, even if we started in at the low and it was traditional face-to-face 5 days a week, it may be that come November, the virus spikes again to where we have to, we're pushed back into a medium.
But for those who did sign up for virtual, who received the virtual, still for that first semester.
Yeah,
Correct.
I mean, that's,
I just wanna make sure I
that is the
understand.
two options. I mean, that's what, I mean, there's not a wording here to
Right, I
provide.
understand.
I was just providing.
So, Dr. Right now, where we have,
We are still considered high.
so if we consider high, why would we?
We don't know what it's
well,
going
we'd
to
have to
be.
have
We
an
know
We
option
would have to
place.
start at e-learning.
We
We would have to start at
all three
e-learning if we started today.
Right.
If we started today, we'd have to start at e-learning. But we don't know what it's gonna be on August 24th or September 8th. We haven't adjusted.
I know what your motion was traditional face-to-face.
That's to start. However, I said based on what our county's reading is, based on the numbers, is how we would proceed after that. I'm just saying that that's what we would start out, that we would give two options to parents. Because we don't know what our reading is gonna be the day that school starts. So we have no way of knowing. But we have to provide the option. Yeah, we can't just say today, well, we're gonna do e-learning, and then on August 24th, the virus is low to where we're able to go in there and do face-to-face. We can't then say, well, we're sticking with e-learning. That's not fair, because the option's there to do face-to-face.
Same thing.
I'm sorry, I was just going to try to clarify that the intent is to have all of these different options available.
Right.
So,
That's what my
Dr.
motion's saying. I mean, do I need to reword my motion?
Well, that's left up to you, but
Do I
But
need
the
to
way I
reword my motion?
understand it, and make sure you're making a motion that all four options that are on board are available according to the condition, COVID condition of the community.
Yeah, put it together.
Is that right?
I don't know if that's what I.
I mean, because if that's the case, who would come back to Dr. Thomas, who would come back to us? I say, if that's the case, who would come back to the city? They would come back to us.
The decision would really be based on
I know
the
it's based on,
DHEC,
yeah,
Correct.
the CDC guidelines.
yeah, but I'm saying if they come out with something favorable or unfavorable, the reason being, again, people are gonna say, hurt yourself.
Well, I think based on how the county is rated, that automatically makes the determination. So I don't think that we would have to do it again. I think that Dr. Thomas would just go with whatever the rate is.
Guidelines she's already put forward.
I do have a, go ahead.
Just a point of clarification, if we're looking at DHEC numbers, those are supposed to be released every Friday. I think the question too is from the board is, are we okay sending a phone blast Friday after we get those results saying the next week is going to be a green, yellow, red week based on the most up to date, or do we want to delay that week? So I think kind of that mentality is if we get a report on Friday, are we good going red, yellow, green on Monday, knowing that only gives parents 2 days notice, but at the same time, we may have to shut down that fast. We may not have to reopen that fast, but at the same time, we get the date on Friday. Would the phone blast go home Friday afternoon? The next week is 5-day face-to-face, hybrid, or e-learning.
What
Yeah,
time of
and
day?
that was my next question.
Yeah, what time of day are,
It varies week to week from DHEC. Sometimes we get it early in the day, sometimes it's later in the day, sometimes it's the day after that that they posted, typically on Mondays. But I mean, I think that's what one of the things Greenville posted in theirs, it would be a weekly decision based on numbers, and they would just kind of be sharing that information. Is that the same type of notification we're okay for our parents?
okay, but so we found out that half of the parents are not getting a phone blast.
Right.
So half of the parents are not gonna know.
Right. And I say phone blast as in all of our media outlets. So it'd be WLBG Go Learns, it would be their phones, their Twitter, Facebook. If they're looking for that each week, to know what the next level is based on the DHEC numbers. That would be.
So I amend my motion to say that it would be a weekly notification to state what the next week would be based on the guidelines
And this is only for the first semester.
for the first semester. Right.
So what should we even say in only you got a first semester? Who go after first semester?
Well, I would hope that by the time the fall came around, that we would be able to.
Motion on the floor, Mr. Chairman, that being interrupted, there's a motion on the floor. Amend that motion,
Then we got an amended motion on the
or
floor.
is it still discussion? I'm asking.
We're still discussing.
I think we're still discussing.
Well, I amended, I said I
We
amended.
were in discussion when
The way it is, we have an amended motion on the floor, and we need a second in order to move it into discussion.
Did you add?
I amended my motion to add that, it would be viewed on a weekly basis to see that we would continue in the, what color code, green, yellow, or red, for the first semester.
Okay, I second.
Now we're back to discussion.
The reason I said just the first semester is because I do think that we should have a discussion again in hopes that we wouldn't have to continue any of them starting second semester. And if we have to continue the pattern, so be it. But if we can just say, in December, okay, starting second semester in January, we're back to normal, I mean, that would just be lovely to do.
And we're doing the same thing on the virtual academy,
Right.
has the first semester, and then we're allowing those students to be able to come back in if they want to come back in.
Wouldn't the reports automatically dictate that, though, if all green at Christmas, for example? We would come back automatically, come back all face-to-face 5 days a week. So wouldn't the DHEC regulations that we're talking about automatically dictate that?
No, they're just a recommendation.
But that's what we're saying, that we would allow it to dictate it for the first semester. But then by second semester, our goal would be all 5 days a week.
And that is a problem.
So,
We'd like to start off beginning that way. All right. Any other discussion?
Was that what we wanted to do?
Mr. Chairman, may I please, just for record keeping, will there at any time in this first semester be a time when we could go 5 days without this weekly determination?
Well, it could be that we just
I think
stay
so.
green,
yeah, that we just stay green.
green to green to green. I mean, it could just stay green.
Are you saying
And I would
more along the
say
lines of there's
that
a
maybe we
communication
don't
to the
make,
parents?
that maybe we don't make a phone blast unless it changes colors.
I mean, the way I wrote this down, and perhaps, and perhaps I wrote it wrong, but this is, to me, the motion is holding us to doing it this way for a whole semester. But what I'm saying is, say, October 15th, I don't know. You know, are we, or is the district going to be bound to go week to week for that first semester if this action is taken, or do you have the option of when all of this, if the numbers level out in October, you can just at that point say traditional?
Well, could it be that if it's only if we change colors, that we would, I mean, if it stayed green, then we don't contact, or?
Yes, ma'am. And I would say that I would think that we would need to, at least look at this for going through the different levels, at least through the first semester, just to kind of monitor since everything's so. But yes, we could deal with the policy will change in color.
Yeah, and that we would only make calls or blasts when the color changes. Maybe it could be that on the school websites or something, we could just have a block up that has a color. That all you had to do was pull up the website and it has a color up there that, you know, you don't have to go somewhere and read something. Just pull it up, you see a block that shows the color, or we're in this phase, or whatever, to where they don't have to go searching for, looking to see what phase we're in. That could be a quick thing, that if something changes, like if they see something that happens on the, you know,
Flag of pole.
if something's going on that, you know, it could be out on the billboards at the schools or whatever, you know, anything like that that could just, you know, flashing the block, you know, or whatever, just to show, you know,
Something going through.
this is what phase we're in to,
So the way I understand this, tell me if I'm wrong, these 4 options that we have in front of us, we will observe them for first semester only and then reevaluate at the end of first semester, correct?
well,
Now,
the virtual academy is gonna run
That's
all
all
year, yes. However, you're committed to the first semester.
Correct. With the red, yellow, and green, as presented to us,
Yeah, and our goal for the other 3 is to be green.
correct?
And to go into yellow and red as needed, based on numbers in the county. But our goal is to start school green.
So,
question. But Tony, you take on your presentation. This is what I got presentation there. You wouldn't comfortable going back face to face right now. That was your presentation, that was your presentation.
Based on the current data.
That's what Chris said. Right.
Right.
Okay.
Mhm.
So are we gonna go her request.
I'm not foregoing her
No,
request.
we're gonna
That's
actually
what it said.
do
It said
it.
already, I didn't say you said. I said,
We're not doing that. I'm voting.
you made a motion.
I'm not foregoing her motion.
Her presentation, it includes Dr. Thomas's
It also
options for
included
loading and
face.
time.
She didn't.
That's part of her plan.
No, yeah, Dr. Thomas even though she's not comfortable going back now face to face because we're in high, if it goes to green next week, then she would be comfortable being face to face, right?
Correct. We
Yeah.
still follow precautions, but based on that data.
Yeah, she's saying,
Today.
give me all these options that she can balance and work with based on what the CHED and CDC numbers are telling. That makes sense?
So we're still
Yeah,
talking.
we said, yeah, but we're finna go on face to face, right?
No.
No.
Her motion included.
Or vote actually, or, and tell me if I'm wrong, but the way I understand what the vote is to accept Dr. Thomas's recommendations. And all of us would rather go face to face as soon as possible.
Yeah, the motion is that we're giving two options to parents. We're giving them virtual academy, or we're giving them go back to school. And there's three ways you can go back to school, and it's based on the virus numbers. Our goal is that they go back to school green. If we went back to school today, they can't go back to school green. They gotta go red based on where we are number-wise in the community. But we don't know that we're gonna be red August 24th or September the 8th. We don't know that. We very well could be green. So by making the motion and accepting that, then that allows us to be able to send our kids to school green.
Well, that's allowed me anyway. I certainly get, that's where we're headed. So, and I'm trying to simplify this because I'm gonna see where I'm at to get here. We're accepting Dr. Thomas's options and to be monitored weekly and notified weekly according to DHEC information. And all of our media platforms available. And, is that for one semester? Or, but my question is, if everything goes back to green, and it will, I don't know. Do we need to meet and vote on that, or will it just automatically?
That's
say
after
like
the
they
first
just-
semester, that's what we said. After the first semester, we're reevaluating.
Well, that was my question. Why, I guess what I'm asking is, why would we need to reevaluate the screen?
We would.
Yeah.
But
So, yeah, it's all green,
say
that's
2
right.
weeks, say 2 weeks from now, it comes out green. Okay, you go ahead and make out school.
Yeah.
Okay, 2 weeks later, we back in the red. What do you do? Back off?
We're in the red.
Go back.
We
We have to go back, we have to go to e-learning.
Yeah.
Yeah, we go to e-learning, we go to whatever.
It's just the wording, and I think that's going on here. It's the same exact thing Dr. Thomas just presented to us. Correct.
Yes.
So
I think
why
I
don't we
would-
simplify the motion and say, make a motion to accept, the learning options for fall 2020 as Dr. Thomas presented.
We've got a,
They've
we've got a
already
motion
been-
and an
we've
amendment
already
motion
been
on the floor. It would have to
We've
be
already been
withdrawn.
amended and everything.
I have an additional question.
I'm in a discussion phase here.
Oh, okay.
Move forward, and it really is exactly what Jody said, kind of circling back to that. Will that determination, if you get the number on Friday and we're in medium, will we immediately change that Monday, or do we hold a week? What, I guess if it's red, we have to immediately change, so I guess if it were to be any other number, we should just immediately change too. Is that your thinking? Is that what you're thinking?
But can we adapt it fast? We're talking about maybe moving students and classrooms and putting desks and stuff back in. I mean, can we adapt that fast to 48 hours?
We'll have to, man. If we go red, we certainly can't put them in class for a week, knowing it's dangerous.
I think the harder option that if you're thinking to adapt to is if we would move from a hybrid to full face-to-face instruction. And, that is a lot of work and a lot of movement in a very short period of time.
Schedule-wise.
Or even just moving on days.
Well, schedule-wise.
And it could be the desks are set up like our restaurants, that some are marked to sit in, some are not marked to sit in, so they're not necessarily out of the room, but they're just not used in the room.
That
Then
might
some
be
of
a
them may be in the
easier
hallway or
option.
something like that,
Yeah.
but, or shifted over to an edge, but it may be that they're not like physically in a whole nother classroom that have to be moved, but it's more just one that you're used to.
I think something like that would be the only way to make that fast of a transition, so you're not having to call people around the weekend on Friday. Like, move that.
So that would be another, reason as well, going back to that, talking about the hybrid and talking about the Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday people. If we switched, if we were on a Friday and we get word, okay, you're green, you're able to go back on Monday. And so everybody is able to come in on Monday. If everybody's going along, and the Monday, Tuesday people are coming in live, watching that live on Thursday and Friday, then everybody's up to date on Friday, so that when they all come in on Monday to that class, then everybody's up to date. It's not all staggered. It would be an easier transition to bring that entire class back in. You see what I'm saying?
And on the, let's see. So on the yellow phase, we're talking about mask in hallways, right? And, in the green phase, no mask. But we would do temperature screening. So I guess to making sure everybody understands exactly, okay, the difference between green and yellow, and knowing what they need to be prepared for that day, and from the school's perspective too.
But we'll say
It's a lot of change week to week, I think, but.
I definitely think initially, if we're moving from red to green, I think we'll still take precautions, especially that first move, that we move into that move. So we'll still kind of carry over those protocols.
Okay.
And I understand all that, but I just think it's a lot of not considering. We can go green, still come. Okay, come on, wow.
Yes.
What's our hope? And at that point, I think parents will get it. We don't want the kids in the I certainly would. I'm talking myself.
Well, I know that,
Even under the best of conditions, I'm saying this thing, uncertainty, we heard that from Mr. Benfield. Yeah. That it may not come early. We don't know. We don't know. I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying, but I'm just saying, in my opinion, we just don't have enough. To me. And I don't want no child on my head.
so what are?
So you're saying not everybody do virtual, you said not to attempt to, everybody do virtual.
My problem is right now is going face to face.
But we're not going back face to face today.
And see, I just want to put a mask on everybody and go face to face right now. I mean,
I know most people probably would. Not because it's disrespecting our lifestyle. We know that.
what are you don't want face to face at all, even if our,
Even if it's
even if
hybrid.
we're low?
Yeah.
Even if we're.
I mean,
even if we're-
if we're going by the guidelines, I don't have any problem with the guidelines. I'm saying that they change rapidly. We got some deep thinking. They change rapidly. I mean, they can go red, green, back and forth.
I don't think we can go that much.
If we go to a red, if we've been in yellow or green, and somehow we get to a red in a week, then everybody's gonna be learning and nobody's going to school.
Right.
So, so the parents wouldn't necessarily have to make a decision, just the decision will be made for them, that because of the high number of cases, everybody's, you know.
So one thing, we won't only get the information on Friday after school. So if we've been back on whatever color, green or yellow, and the information comes in, we're back to red. On Monday, we would all go to e-learning. Right?
Yes.
I mean, it take place that fast. We would not be able to change during the middle of the week because we wouldn't have information available, like a snow day, for example, where we change them on a dime. But, the way the information is gonna come in, we would only change on the weekend. You know, my only question about it is limited it to a semester. We know we're gonna go back to green eventually. So we would just let it play itself out. When it turned green, it'd be green instead of having to rehash a whole nother option plan. But this is our plan moving forward. And when green turns green, okay, well, we would have to vote on it if we limited it to one semester.
Why would we have to vote?
No, because then it's just business as usual.
Just based on your motion. You said one semester, and I misunderstand.
No, we said one.
Yeah, but that we're just looking at this, but I mean.
Right, so if we limited the options that Dr. Thomas put forth to us today for one semester, and
Yeah, we're
Before
revisiting.
before the end of the semester, we would either reapprove the plan or modify it.
Revisit, yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. We would have to issue some kind of guidance forward, by November, actually, because we don't have to, November call me. But, so I want to ask this one more time, so I'll make sure we got all from the same page. What we're doing is we're voting on the plan that Dr. Thomas put before us for one semester.
Are you making another motion?
I know.
No, I'm asking a question,
Wait, you want
I'm
us
asking.
just to read the answer?
but it's, I think it says the same thing, doesn't it?
It's just.
It says the same thing. I'm just making sure, because I'm looking at all of it on the board back there, I'm just making sure it does say the same thing.
I think Mr. Bell wants you to read the motion.
I would prefer to do that, so that I can make sure. Mrs. Martin made a motion to provide two options for a reentry to school for 2021. One being the virtual academy, one being the 5-day face-to-face instruction. If the community rate of COVID, according to DHEC, numbers and CDC are not conducive to face-to-face instruction, then we will revert to the hybrid. Ms.
Or
Calhoun,
even-
Sorry,
Well,
So we're actually providing three options.
wait a minute, because I amended it.
I'm getting to that. Mrs. Calhoun Ware seconded that. There was discussion. Then Mrs. Martin amended her original motion that I just read to say that the data from DHEC, CDC, or health officials would be reviewed on a weekly basis to make a determination for the next week's method of instruction, methods, I suppose, of instruction. And this will carry through the first semester of the school year. Ms. Little seconded. And that's where we are. That's what I have. Is that correct, sir?
And there again, I'm just for discussion, trying to clarify this. This is the same thing, Dr. Thomas put forward, except we're only doing it for one semester, correct?
yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, let me ask one question before we vote. And it's really we briefly touched on it, and then you nodded your head when someone said something about 15 minutes. Even, because I know I won't back to school. Even if, or even with, and under, I don't know what I'm trying to say, under DHEC guidelines and CDC guidelines, even if every student and every teacher wears a mask, you guys are saying that it's still not possible for our students to follow the guidelines even with a mask in the classrooms.
We would not be able to follow the social distancing guidelines.
Of 6 feet. If you went down to 3 feet, we could do 3 feet.
We could do 3 feet with masks.
For all students.
That is kind of what the World Health Organization and the American Pediatrics says, that a mask equals 3 feet. So a mask, but then you're guaranteeing people are wearing their mask whenever you say 3 feet and not wearing it
Right.
like a chin guard.
And I think maybe what you're referring to, we talked about it, there's a positive case. If there's a positive case in the classroom, we would look at the guidelines as it relates to the 15 minutes.
That could be what she was mentioning, but I was just in my head thinking, you know, is there even in the state that we're in right now, and the gentleman from Prisma saying that, you know, we have trended down or plateau this week, is that what he said, and that we could get to a medium. I'm
Well,
just
we're at a
trying to
medium
wrap
right
my
now.
head. Yeah, I'm just trying to wrap my head around it. Is there a way? Like, can we still keep our students safe and everyone be in the school
Today,
today?
I think based on the guidelines or looking at our status, we have the high, medium, high, which the average of that would equal a high. So based on that data, I would not feel comfortable for the health and well-being of our students and staff to say that we could safely run them for our traditional face-to-face based on the current data.
today,
Okay.
but we don't know that it's gonna be that.
Right, or change.
All right. Any other discussion? All in favor, show of hands.
This is the amended motion first.
Yeah.
Okay, you gotta state that, 'cause that makes it, okay, all in favor of the amended motion?
Of the amended motion, that's on the floor, motion on the floor.
Okay, motion on the floor.
Motion on the floor. All in favor, say aye. Ayes have it. All right, moving right along. Opposed? Mr. Carter. All right, presentation, calendar.
Okay, I bring back to you the proposed calendar that we brought earlier today with, for approval, with moving the start date for students to September the 8th, with leap week beginning the 31st of August, and the first day for teachers on the 24th. If we do go forward with this recommendation, I would also like to recommend an amendment to the proposed calendar to take Saturday, June the 19th, and move it to a floater day of the weeks of August 10th through the 21st to provide additional training for our teachers.
Is this question time?
Sure thing.
Okay, so what happens, I've got several thoughts on what happens if someone already has vacation plans for the dates that we're pushing into June? Because so many beach vacations, summer vacations, you do plan a year in advance, so if there's something already planned for June, what, how will those, and what?
That's testing.
And, well, true, so how is that going to
Well, I
play
think
out for the teacher and the student?
part of it is that we're giving them almost a year's notice that they could possibly still try to make those amendments as changes to their vacation if possible. But, you know, we work with teachers and students all the time and parents if they have a scheduled vacation. That would be days absent for those students, but that would be something that we'd have to work around. And if it is in the middle of testing, they would have to do makeup testing.
When do you expect to know about testing?
The state, from my knowledge, has already submitted the waiver from Mr. Vos at the USD, but we have not heard back. We are hearing that a couple of states have received denial of their submissions for testing, but I don't know how it was proposed. So I don't know if ours looks a little bit different than other states and what all was included in their request for waivers. So as of right now, we're still going forward trying to get those waivers, but we don't have an indication of yea or negative for something. The state has already pushed out the list of assessments that are required by the state that we are going to give. For example, the ACT, SAT, which are state given for those face-to-face, SC-WIN, which is our career readiness assessment, KRA, PALS, those are also state given tests, and they are asking us to get those. So we do have the WIDA screener for our EL students, but the ones that are used for federal accountability are the ones that they're asking for waivers for right now, which would include SC Ready, SC Pass, access testing, end of course testing, that type of level of test.
I just think if we're wanting to start September 8th, to allow the district more time to prep, I feel like these days should be taken somewhere else and not added in June.
Now, we as a board have the authority to amend this calendar at any time to, you know, so we get down the road and say we can amend it at any time during the school year.
Well, I think continually amending the calendars is probably very frustrating to everybody, so.
We're gonna vote on it, we need to amend it.
Now, yeah.
We do not have to vote on it. We have an approved calendar now in place.
Which would put put the first day for teachers on August 10th. The first day for LEAP would be the 17th. The first day for students would be the 24th, is the one that you have approved for.
What about the, you've got the first day for students, that the one we have now is what?
First day for students is the 24th. So that'll be 2 green weeks before Labor Day week.
You've got teachers coming in the 10th.
Yes, ma'am. We begin registration this Friday, which will be 1 week in between notification to parents on the 3rd.
So LEAP has to be where?
LEAP would be currently in our approved calendar is on starts on the 17th.
Yeah, but it
It has to be before the first day of students. It could be before our teacher week, it could be after our teacher week. We just have teachers coming in prior to the week before.
And do teachers have to come in a full week ahead of?
No, we, like the prior calendar before, we just amended it, only had them coming back 4 days. You can schedule your yellow days, which are teacher days throughout. We typically do a 4-day teacher start, that third Tuesday through Friday. This is a weather radio that keeps going off. There's severe storms up in like North Carolina, Georgia, coming across the Seneca.
So is there a way to do the LEAP, the week of the 17th and have teachers coming in the 17th as well? And then
They can't be on top of each other. Has to be 5 separate days because the yellow days are already part of the contract of the 190 for teachers. This would be 5 additional days that the state has passed the law for us to do.
So what if we move it, so, I mean, even if you had an extra week, I know this particular calendar would give you 2 weeks, 2 extra weeks in prep time. But considering the things that we've talked about today and the potential of trying to let e-learning look a little bit different, when it's in a hybrid situation, would the extra week be a suitable amount of time? Or I'm thinking like if we move the 24th, bump it back to the 17th, is your teacher week, the 24th is your LEAP week. And then the students start the 31st. And then you add a Saturday in November, a Saturday in January, a Saturday in February, a Saturday in March. You move the 19th back over here, and then you're still getting out G4. Did you get all that?
Let me get my pen.
I mean, I'm trying to figure out, is there some
that's what I
kind
was
of
moving it
compromise?
back up a week.
Yeah,
I was trying to move it back up a week.
because I don't want, on one side, I don't want to press to start on a certain day if you guys need some more time to make this all run smoothly. But then on the flip side, I really don't want our kids having to go into June.
I do know more time would very much benefit us whenever I start. Because one number I have not ran through y'all today was whenever we pulled the high school students and their course requests and schedules so far already this, for this coming semester, there's 104 different courses that those 400 students are signed up for. And some of those are 2s, 3s, 4s signed up for those individual courses. So we've already started prepping our guidance counselors at the high school. There may need to be some course changes even for those that are signed up for virtual. They may not get it their exact schedule for the fall, but they need to pull one of their courses that they're going to take in spring so we can take a 104 course list down to something a little bit more manageable. So just that has to be done through a conversation with that student and also schedule those, kind of like a virtual or one-on-one IGP, to be able to do that. And I do know that's going to be a massive undertaking. And whenever we're removing basically 100 kids per grade throughout the system, then that's restructuring our classrooms, restructuring those kids that may already be grouped together. It's a lot. So, I mean, a week would definitely help. 2 weeks gives us a little bit more working room. But I'm not against whatever y'all decide. Because, like I said earlier, if you tell us to go with what we have, we'll make it work.
Well, I'm just trying to figure out a compromise that can take some of those days off June, give you an extra week in August. But then if you take all those days out of June, that sticks us with a few Saturdays that can you improve those? Can those?
I think we'll also have to look at from a financial standpoint as well. Just as far as running the buses for all of the students on Saturday.
So that would put those employees in overtime.
Maybe the Saturday, days would be all evening. Or the virtual day for those.
Is that possible?
I think that's definitely something we'll have to check on. We are not, other than we have a waiver for the pandemic. But as far as being named a e-learning district, we are not yet. We're still waiting on feedback from that to see if we got approved as an e-learning district to be able to do that for snow days for just different days. But at this point, we do not have the approval to do it for those things unrelated to our re-entering pandemic.
But those Saturdays, it wouldn't necessarily add a day to that driver's workload, but because of that week, it would put them in overtime.
Because they would go into another, they have to be however many hours.
Right.
So they would overtime.
What if we did it on a Saturday where a holiday is in that week?
I had thought about that, but I thought,
Would
gosh,
that
somebody
Put it on a overtime?
long weekends every once in a while. If we put it on the holiday
Supporting the way
weekend,
that, supporting the way that would fall.
November, like if you look at November 3rd election, so we're out on Tuesday. So then if they went on that Saturday.
Students.
I mean, would that would just,
I'd have to see what their pay cut period was. I mean, based on, I don't know that side of the finance, because I know there's some type of window with each time that they fund those, so I don't know the answer to that fully.
see, that would be a Saturday that you've got a holiday that's in the middle of the week.
But Dr. Quinlan, is election day one of those paid holidays for non-certified employees?
It is paid, but it is not counted as hours worked, so it would not affect the time.
We also have to hire a state mechanic anytime we run the buses on Saturday. So that would just be a state mechanic
oh, okay.
that will be available regardless if we have any issues with our transportation, we still have to pay them.
We still have to have it. Well, Jody's the one that said Saturdays. And I just clung to it.
Well, I mean, you
I
could
think
do
it was asked prior to this meeting, so that's why I brought it up as a.
Well, I mean, you could do the September the 12th, November the 7th, and June the 5th, or January 23rd. There we go. Take out that January 23rd. Those were Saturdays following a you said 3, right? That it would take 3 Saturdays.
Yeah, if you take 17th through the 21st, so that takes that whole week. So there would be 4 full days, so it'd have to be 4.
have to do June 5th.
I don't know, y'all,
We're talking about in unnormal time, we frustrated ourselves to death, and I think we might just be doing some stuff that's gonna make a lot of people come. You know,
I think a lot of people are gonna be uncomfortable with going through June 18th.
I do too.
Oh, I know.
You the one that don't want to change. Yeah. I'm saying, you the one that don't change, you want them to have those days off, but you are not willing to touch Christmas. You are
Yeah,
not
I can
willing-
touch Christmas, I was just trying to have
Spring
another
break.
week without
Yeah,
it.
but I'm saying, those are the last kind, we don't talk about one time, hope.
26, 27.
We'll take those 4 Saturdays,
Take these.
take them out of Christmas break somewhere.
Between Christmas break and spring break.
Right,
I mean,
right.
we're not talking about one time, hopefully this will be gone next year. I mean, you gotta bring everything to, we're talking about Saturday. We don't know what football season was. You know how people are about college football season. They want to take their children's games on Saturday. Do we have a right to take that Saturday? I mean, it's just a
Well, what
whole
about-
other thing.
What about, December 28th, 29th, and 30th?
Yes, I think that's a great idea.
December 28th, 29th, and 30th. And then be off 31st and the 1st.
I mean, I'm just gonna say this too, because I know there's a lot of people that go on trips right after Christmas. So I think you're gonna run into just as many, if not more, vacations taken that week versus another week in June. Because you're looking at, that's the only time they can go visit family, at some point in time versus that. I'm just talking from experience from our side on, the calendar committee that I've served on for about 12, 13 years with the combination of the districts. This is something that we, not fault, but we have discussed many a times about around Christmas, breaks and kind of how those days need to be kind of held harmless because there's so much traveling done there that I think we'll end up with a lot of absence from teachers, and also, a very poor attendance for students. That's my fear with that. You know, I'm one of those that has week 23, which is that first week of June as my vacation. It's just something that we're gonna have to work around this year and take it another week. But we're also looking at that too, but, you know.
Well, we're just looking at it from the standpoint of, June being falling with testing.
Right.
And it already being into, it's June.
Yeah.
But if you took those 3 days, I mean, like you were saying earlier, that if they got this calendar and saw that it went into, graduation being June 18th, well, they'd just have to work around it. Well, if they saw that they were gonna get a whole week at Christmas, and then those 3 days have to come back to keep from having to come 2 more weeks past June the 4th. I mean, I could give up 3 days after Christmas to keep from having to.
The only thing I say to that, if you do schedule the days on the end of the year, it gives people more time to adapt their schedule. There will be some people that will have their Christmas trips already planned, being this closer than next June. I agree with what Jody said, that I think that we will have just as many people that take trips at Christmas time or involved gatherings with family as we do either way. There's not a way out of this. It doesn't sound to where it's going to accommodate everybody. And it's just that simple.
I mean, my personal preference is that we leave the calendar that we already voted on. However, I don't see that that's giving district office the time that they need to get everybody off on the right foot. I mean, what if we just split the difference and move your staff work week up to the 17th, and then that takes us to graduating on June 11th?
That's very worthwhile.
I mean,
And we'll work with planning for our virtual academy kids that overlap in those sections that have to start dates.
yeah. I mean, I don't know, that's just a
Is that
suggestion.
means that we can get out, a week earlier?
That would put us out on June 11th, assuming we're having makeup day instead of the, yeah.
So we only go a week on.
All right, but here's a loaded question. Two things that will be in the green if we wait until September 8th.
That was our.
That was our first. So,
That is all of them.
so I want to, I'm sorry.
And I'm sure that's my client did it also, because they, they're going back 5 days, it's like, all running about it. And it could be, we don't know.
I might, so I just wanted
So I wanted to just say, if we look at the calendar, it's not necessarily ideal, but there's been many things that have happened this year that have not been ideal. So it's just not our normal times. But when we look at it from the stance of safety, being able to prepare our buildings, our teachers, and our staff to make sure our facilities are safe, as well as thinking about the safety of the staff and students. And if we also look at the effectiveness of instruction, then that will definitely also give time to have everything in place. Hopefully to have some of the shipments to come in as well. But I think if we look at it from a safety and effectiveness standpoint, again, we know it's not ideal. Hopefully, when we look at our future calendars, we'll be able to do back to what we're used to. But I definitely think we're just looking at the safety of our staff and our students. We were hoping that by that time, that would give more time for the numbers to hopefully go to the one level as well.
Well, as much as I hate it, I make a motion to approve the revised 2020-2021 school year calendar as presented to end on September the 8th. I don't like it, but.
We have a motion, do I have a second? Ms. Dees, second. Any discussion? Any further discussion?
Yes, just one thing. I mean, I want to go, so is there an opportunity to, even though we know we only get 50% feedback with your phone survey, is there an opportunity to do that and say, instead of going through June 11th, we'll take these 3 days of Christmas or whatnot, just to knock off some days at the end of the year and try to add them somewhere else? I mean, is that an option to revisit that, or is that something that would have to be done before? It would have to be done within the approval of the calendar.
I think if you approve a calendar now or leave a calendar the way it is, that would be another board meeting to amend it later. You can amend the calendar mid-year, if you choose to do that.
And
So we don't, like I said earlier, we would have the option to amend this, if a workable solution comes, somebody comes up with a workable solution, we can amend it at any meeting.
I just think that's an idea to put out there to the community and see, we can take these days at Christmas, we can take a couple of days off of spring break, and it would put you out on the next day in June. I don't know. I mean, I would be willing to amend the calendar later at a regular board meeting.
That's all we got.
you know.
We can always.
We can discuss it. Just make y'all go.
So. All right, then, the other question that I have is the 15th and the 16th, those state mandated e-learning days. Do we want to move those earlier or leave those as is? Because we kind of talked about that during the work session.
Yeah, those could be moved, those couldn't stay where they are. They are originally tagged to when parent-teacher conferences originally were.
Okay.
So that's close to the end of the first 9 weeks, maybe a little bit closer to Europe now. But that could still be a time that parents, the teachers are reaching out to parents, as well as providing some learning opportunities on those 2 days.
Do you think there's any benefit to have those e-learning practice days any sooner?
I think if we start in an e-learning setting, that's where we're going to be, or if we're in a hybrid setting, those are already going to be there. But if we're in a hybrid, then that's going to mess up somebody's rotation of a AABB, or a green gold team, because one of those teams wouldn't be able to come that week if we put them up on too early, if we're in a hybrid situation.
Okay.
All right, any other discussion? We have a motion on the floor to amend the calendar as proposed by Mr. Dillon. All in favor, show of hands, aye. All opposed? Ayes have it.
One opposition is Wilson.
Dr. Murray. Excuse me. I used to call everybody else, so.
That's all right. I appreciate it. I'll try and make this quick because I know everybody's been here a long time today. We just have 2 additional temporary administrative rules that we wanted to present to you related to COVID-19 and the options that we're looking at. The first of these is the IHAR, which is the opt-out of on-site instruction. This is basically dealing with those students who opt to go to the virtual academy. An administrative rule applying to that. That is accompanied by a form, IHAE, where parents would sign the on-site instruction opt-out form, confirming that they understand the parameters of opting out of on-site instruction. So that's the administrative rule IHAR. And again, this is a temporary administrative rule while COVID-19 is affecting us. Any questions about that one? The second temporary administrative rule is Administrative Rule KIR, which is regarding visitors to school facilities. Essentially, this administrative rule is limiting the number of people who can visit our facilities to only those people who have legitimate business on campus, and providing the parameters for their visits, including symptoms of illness, physical distancing, mask requirements, hygiene requirements, and eliminates facility use agreements during the COVID-19 pandemic. So those outside agencies that might be requesting the use of our facilities, we would not be authorizing those during the pandemic. Any questions about Administrative Rule KIR? If not, then I hope you all have a wonderful day.
I just hope we don't get complaints from people like to use the school for events and activities. I don't think that anybody's having anything, hopefully now it's with gatherings, no larger than 25 or whatever.
And there is a notice that goes with KIR that we will post in the schools as well. So that will detail all that information. Thank you.
I hear a motion for adjournment.
So move.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, show of hands, ayes have it.